With Radio Algeria International, you will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
On the sidelines of the 18th session of the UN General Assembly in New York, Labour Minister Abdelhak Saihi has expressed Algeria's commitment to actively contribute to the global dialogue on artificial intelligence governance. Algeria has also reaffirmed in New York its commitment to pursue close cooperation with all international partners to support the processes of peace and stability. During the high-level week of the 80th session of the UN General Assembly, several countries defended the legitimate rights of the Sahrawi people, primarily their right to self-determination. And international sanctions against Iran came into effect following the UN Security Council's decision to impose them in a move that increases pressure on Tehran over its nuclear program. Hello and welcome on Radio Algeria International. I'm your host, Miriam Bershi. The Minister of State in charge of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, has held talks in New York with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres as part of his participation in the proceedings of the high-level segment of the UN General Assembly. The meeting focused on examining the growing challenges facing the UN and exchanging views on ways to strengthen the international multilateral system in support of peace and development issues worldwide. Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf also had talks with several of his counterparts, including the Foreign Minister of the Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Brazil, Mauro Vieira, the Foreign Minister of Cuba, Bruno Rodriguez Parilla, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of Honduras, Javier Efren Bussoto, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Nicaragua, Denis Moncada. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Lando has affirmed his country's desire to expand and strengthen economic relations with Algeria, highlighting the enormous opportunities that would benefit the peoples of both countries. In a message to the great Algerian people via a video posted by the U.S. Embassy in Algeria on its official social media page, Mr. Lando explained that the U.S. is keen to strengthen its economic ties with Algeria following his meeting with Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf last Thursday.
One of the most exciting things I've been working on lately is opening up the commercial relationship between our two great countries. I think there's amazing opportunities that benefit your people and ours. I was delighted to meet with your foreign minister yesterday in New York to discuss some of these opportunities. I look forward to the chance to visit Algeria. And again, I just want to say how excited I am about the chance for our countries to come closer together and have both of our peoples become more prosperous.
That was U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Lando. On the sidelines of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, the Minister of Labour, Employment and Social Security, Abdelhak Saihi, has expressed Algeria's commitment to actively contribute to the global dialogue on artificial intelligence AI governance. Under the instructions of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, he participated in a high-level meeting marking the official launch of the discussion. In his speech, Mr. Saihi stressed the importance of adopting an inclusive and balanced approach so that all voices, particularly those of the Global South, can be heard and taken into account in the global regulation of AI. He hailed the creation of the International Scientific Group on AI, seeing it as a significant step towards the secure, reliable and equitable development of this technology on a global scale. He highlighted Algeria's ambitious national strategy in this area, spearheaded by President Tebboune. The strategy aims to use AI as a lever for economic development, modernization, and the administration and improvement of public governance. Mr. Saihi also highlighted Algeria's efforts at regional and international level, notably the organization of international conferences on AI. He stressed the need to include Africa in this global technological process, arguing that the continent should not be a mere spectator of progress but a fully involved player. Earlier, Algeria, through Mr. Saihi, has reaffirmed in New York its commitment to pursue close cooperation with all international partners to support the processes of peace and stability. On the sidelines of the 18th session of the UN General Assembly, where Mr. Saihi is participating under the instructions of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, Algeria stressed that strengthening social cohesion and governance to build community resilience and establish lasting peace relies on three key points. Mr. Saihi's first point stressed that social cohesion is key to peace, noting that community divisions often lead to conflict and violence. He also stressed the need to strengthen trust and solidarity for long-term stability. His second point highlighted the importance of the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) in achieving lasting peace, eradicating poverty, empowering women and youth, and reducing inequalities are critical, especially given the growing challenges of climate change and extremism.
Strengthening social cohesion, the bonds of trust and solidarity, enables societies to withstand shocks and manipulation. Lessons from global experience show that implementing a sustainable development strategy, particularly regarding poverty eradication, empowering women and youth, and addressing inequalities within countries, is also essential for achieving lasting peace, especially when confronting vulnerabilities related to climate change and violent extremism. The role of the Peacebuilding Commission and Office, the Peacebuilding Commission (PBC), and the Peacebuilding Fund (PBF) are vital. The Peacebuilding Commission serves as a platform for sharing experiences, while the Peacebuilding Fund provides crucial funding to address the root causes of conflict and build the foundations for sustainable peace.
The third point focused on the vital roles of the UN's Peacebuilding Commission, PBC, and the Peacebuilding Fund in addressing the root causes of conflict. Mr. Saihi reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to peace and stability, emphasizing its active role in the UN Security Council and Peacebuilding Commission and its ongoing collaboration with international partners to support global peace processes.
As a current member of both the Peacebuilding Commission and the Security Council, Algeria will spare no effort to work in cooperation with other members towards building a foundation for sustainable peace in the countries included in the agenda of these two bodies.
That was the Minister of Labour, Employment and Social Security, Abdelhaq Saihi. During the high-level week of the 80th session of the UN General Assembly, numerous speakers took the floor at the United Nations to defend the legitimate rights of the Sahrawi people, primarily their right to self-determination. Mohamed Khater reports.
During his address to the General Assembly, Venezuelan Foreign Minister reaffirmed his country's support for the legitimate demands of the Sahrawi people, calling for respect for international law. For his part, Zimbabwean Foreign Minister reiterated his country's position in support of the rights of the Palestinian and Sahrawi peoples, expressing his country's constant solidarity with these two peoples in their legitimate struggle for freedom. Belizean Prime Minister emphasized the need to end the deprivation of the Sahrawi people of their right to self-determination and freedom, stating that all countries must have the right to choose their own path. The leaders of Namibia, South Africa and Spain expressed in their address to the General Assembly their support for the inalienable right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination. Meanwhile, Mauritanian Foreign Minister reiterated his support for the UN efforts regarding the Western Sahara issue.
International sanctions against Iran came into effect following the UN Security Council's decision to reimpose them under the snapback mechanism of the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, in a move that increases pressure on Tehran over its nuclear program. Jamal Salmani has the details.
Germany, France and Britain announced in a joint statement the reactivation of sanctions, calling on Iran to refrain from any escalatory actions and stressing that the goal is to push it to fully comply with Security Council resolutions and resume cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency. The three countries explained that Iran's concessions during the recent negotiations were insignificant and insufficient to prevent the sanctions mechanism from coming into effect at midnight on Sunday GMT after the 30-day deadline it had given to Iran expired. For his part, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stressed that despite the Security Council's decision, the door remains open to diplomacy and that reaching an agreement remains the best option for the Iranian people. The snapback mechanism, launched by Germany, France and Britain in late August, allows for the reimposition of UN sanctions that were lifted after the 2015 agreement, without the need for a new vote in the Security Council. The new sanctions include an arms embargo, the freezing of the Iranian assets abroad, restrictions on ballistic missile development, a ban on nuclear cooperation, and a ban on certain energy exports. On Friday, the Security Council rejected a Russian-Chinese draft resolution to postpone the reimposition of sanctions for 6 months, paving the way for the measures to take effect. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused the West of attempting to sabotage diplomacy by blocking the Russian-Chinese draft resolution, arguing that the reimposition of sanctions constitutes a new escalation that could undermine opportunities for dialogue with Tehran. In response to these developments, Iran recalled its ambassadors to Germany, France and the United Kingdom for consultations hours before the reimposition of sanctions. Iran recalled its ambassadors to Germany, France and the United Kingdom for consultations in protest against the three countries' activation of the dispute resolution mechanism under the nuclear agreement, which led to the reimposition of UN sanctions that had been lifted under the 2015 nuclear agreement.
Moving into the situation in Palestine, at least 79 Palestinians have been killed and 379 others injured in the Gaza Strip over the last 24 hours as a result of the ongoing Israeli genocide in the region. Mohammed Khatel reports.
Local health authorities confirmed that the Palestinian death toll from the Israeli onslaught since October 2023 has risen to 66,005 fatalities, with an additional 168,162 people sustaining injuries. The majority of the victims are women and children. This came as tens of thousands of people rallied in the German capital, waving Palestinian flags and holding banners calling for freedom and an end to the war on Gaza, in a remarkable shift in German public opinion regarding Israel. Meanwhile, the Spanish government decided to join the 34-nation coalition known as the Hague Group, led by South Africa and Colombia, which aims to impose new economic sanctions on Israel and its impunity for atrocities committed in the Gaza Strip. According to Euronews, the decision was announced on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly's meeting in New York. Madrid also confirmed its participation in the donor group responsible for financing the Palestinian Authority, alongside countries such as France and the United Kingdom. In another development, the Parliamentary Committee of the Israeli Knesset discussed a controversial bill that would allow the execution of Palestinian prisoners ahead of a planned first reading in the General Assembly. During the session of the so-called Israeli National Security Committee, far-right Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir said that while some close to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu suggested postponing the discussion, he rejected the idea, saying that the law is imminent to create strong deterrence and impose the death penalty on Palestinian prisoners.
Today in our cultural program, we head to eastern Algeria, to the beautiful city of Annaba, which takes its name from the Anab or jujube tree, which grew abundantly in the surrounding area. Annaba is currently hosting the 5th Annaba Mediterranean Film Festival, which features 76 films produced in 20 Mediterranean countries, with Spain as the guest of honor. We invite you first to find out more about the eastern city of Annaba in the following program.